Go. Ooh. All right. Morning, everybody. How you going today? Join with Keith again from the US. I don't know what it's like over there, Keith, but we've got a nice start to warm up for us over here in the sunny downtown Shell Harbour, or south of Sydney we are. So, yeah, cool, good. What's it like where you are, Keith?
Oh, warm, humid, ready for fall. But yeah, we got a lot going on today. Of course, you're the 12th now over there, but it's 9/11 over here, so we've
Yeah.
had some things going on here, ceremonial stuff, and of course in the news, the media's moved on, but yeah, there's still a lot going on, and yeah, had the opportunity to get up to New York City yesterday and went to the Memorial Museum and checked things out up there a little bit. So yeah, it's been a good couple days.
Cool, good. All right. So our topic today is going to be systems, and although sometimes systems are not sexy, but they're effective, is a saying, or somebody's told me that ages ago, and I think it's a good it's a good saying. They're not sexy and they're not fun to put in place, but they are effective when you get them right. So today's topic, as I said, is about systems, and now systems drive your business, and people drive your systems. So that's the whole process about what we'll be talking about today. Sorry, I'm not just doing a few other things in the background, but yeah, so it's really about having effective systems to be able to grow your business, so that you can actually let go of doing all the day-to-day stuff and have your systems drive your business. So I just want to go through and do a bit of a chat about, firstly, what systems are. I mean, there's so many different types of systems. That can be paper-based systems and online systems, and then you have systems to drive your whole business, right? So what I might do is I might just share my screen, if I can remember how to do that. So let me just share screen. That comes up, and this is kind of a development of our systems over the years. Back in 2009, we started off with, I had a business partner and that sort of stuff in the business, and we started off with a profit wheel. Myself and my wife designed and built the profit wheel, and that was so that we could actually identify with clients, what areas of their business needed to be worked on first, and at that time my wife got sick, and there was a whole thing with the partner, and all that aside, we just developed. Over that time, we decided to develop more systems, and we went into what we called, so 2011, we redeveloped the profit wheel into what we called the profit pyramid, and then because that took us from the cynical system, saying, okay, here, where are you on the thing, but people didn't know really where to start, so that's when we decided to build the foundation part: growth, leverage, and freedom, and profit and lifestyle in our system. And then from that, we then thought, well, okay, the wheel was a good representation of where people were at in their business, and so we just combined in 2013 we decided to combine the profit wheel with the pyramid to give us our, what we are currently using in our systems is a way to show clients, and this is the benefit of the system. We can now show clients what our system is, and all three of them always drove to the wealth wheel, which is the wealth wheel at the top, which is your property, shares, and other businesses, and that's, so again, it gave us a visual concept of the system. Now, underlying each of those systems, I'll just see if I can do this. I'll pop up the other PowerPoint. I'm not too sure how I can do that. Let me just see if I can do it from here. Sorry, technology is a wonderful thing. How to use it. And so from that, we actually have three main processes in our systems, which is like attract, convert, and deliver. So what that meant was we're just in the process of redesigning some of these tools to look a little bit better. But the attract, convert, deliver, if you don't know how to attract leads, and you don't have a system for attracting leads, well, you don't have a business. If you don't convert those leads into sales, I should say, you don't have a business. And then when you deliver that, then once you convert them, you've got to be able to deliver the processes. And that's where all the different systems tie together to be able to get your business together, to be able to grow your business. And so we have a marketing system or process, so we actually teach our clients how to use marketing, message, and medium to get the right marketing out there. We have a sales process that we show clients that, how to build trust, how to get their prospective clients to listen, and make sure that they've been listening to what so our clients are listening to what their clients are saying, and then how to convert those clients into that should actually be commit. Sorry, not convert. I put the wrong thing in the thing, but commit. Having a commitment for the clients to be able to go forward, and then the same thing with delivery. You know, the performance, knowing what the performances are, what's working, what's not working in the business, having a clear understanding of your assets, and having a clear understanding of your team and the team processes and stuff like that. So these are all the different processes in the business. So that's just to give a quick overview of some of our systems and the things that we do with our clients to be able to give them a clear direction and a clear path. So systems can also be not just our models. These are our systems models, and they show people what we do. But underlying underneath that is the systems. Like you have a team systems like the staff appraisal systems. You've got systems like quality assurance systems in around your performance, making sure everything's running okay. You have all your systems for like stock and inventory, your assets and that sort of stuff. And there's so many software systems out there that can help you with a lot of this stuff as well. So now the major benefit on having these systems, or having systems, and I'll just click back to being normal. So the major benefit is having systems to ease your everyday workflow. Now people say to me, look, I don't have time to create systems and all that sort of thing. And the thing is, what we actually ask for with our clients is, at least 5 hours a week working on their business. Now there's part of another system. It's a time management system to be able to get them to be able to work on their business rather than in their business. And then that's what they do, is they actually start to work on developing systems and marketing processes and things like that to be able to buy them back their freedom and buy them back their time. So, and so the benefits of having a system comes down to, once you create it once, that system's in place. You shouldn't have to. You can always tweak them. I've got a client that's been working with me for a lot of years, and what we do is we go back and look at how can we maximise the system. How can we tweak that system a little bit better? How can we, how can we make that system, a little bit more robust, and things like that. So he's built his own internal software over the years, and so he's got a baseline. And all we do is we look at, okay, what are the systems we need to drive that software? And the idea of that is to be able to buy their time back. Now this guy was working 70, 80 hours a week when I first started working with him, and he's now working 30 hours a week. He it's a different industry. He's not in the building industry, but I've had the same thing happen with builders. When they understand that where they're best suited in the business, and it's not really where they're best suited as far as what they like to do. It's about where they're best suited as a business owner or an entrepreneur, where they should be in their business, and that should be developing, building systems, sales and marketing, those sorts of things, rather than out swinging the hammer. And this might offend some people. Some people enjoy that. They don't have to really always give that away either. That's something that, that's a choice. They can actually put other people in, but they've got to have the systems to be able to put other people in. Now, I can tell from personal experience, years and years ago, I didn't have systems in my first business. And some of you may have heard this story before, where a young fellow got crook, and he was 18 months old, he had leukemia. We took our eye off the ball. I put a manager into the business. We didn't have any systems. We didn't have any key performance indicators in place. We had no processes in place. I just obligated the business to him, and within no time at all, the business was running the ground, and we lost the business. But that was an expensive lesson for me in the first business, because it was I now know what I didn't know back then, and have the systems and processes in place to be able to make sure that I've got my finger on the pulse. The systems drive the business. I know what's going on, and so that's one of the major benefits of having the system in place. It buys back your time. It gives you an eye. You can keep an eye on how the business is tracking and format and moving forward. Going back to our 10 keys that we developed, those are the systems, and when you put the systems in place and the administration tools, so systems and administration tend to be all around the whole business, more so systems than anything else. When you get those systems around the whole business, it then it gives you strength of structure, if you know what I mean. It actually strengthens up the foundations of the business to be able to grow the business and make it more robust, and so that you can keep an eye on where you're at and what's going on with it.
Right. Now, I know we were talking, we've been talking before just about some of these ideas behind systems and goals, and how you can have goals, but sometimes it's actually not as important to focus on your goals, because if you have good systems, you get there, right?
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. The advantage of having good like goal setting is important. I have to. I mean, a lot of people say you can't get there without having goals. But again, if you've got the systems that's going to, like the bite-sized chunks, it's going to get there. So you know where you're going to go, and you're building the system that's going to enhance your sales, enhance your marketing. It's by default you're going to reach your goal, right? So I agree with you. That's good comment. Yep. So I suppose the next part is why do you need systems? And part of it, like I said, is so you can get yourself free off the business, or get yourself free a little bit. But it also delivers consistency for your clients. It's depending on what systems there are. You might have a marketing system, and it's about having the same process, so the customer gets the same feeling every time. Every new customer gets that same feeling when they come in. You have this system, and if you build the system so it's a wow system, not just a answer the phone and do that, but if you've got a wow system where you might send out what we call a critical non-essential to the client, or you might something that's going to wow them along the way through, that's a system. And if every customer gets that, it becomes, wow, these guys are different, and everybody's talking about the same thing. And the same thing comes through, like a lot of the guys turn around and say, nobody can do it as good as me. And I think I said in the video that we did for the promo of this was, there's how many million people in the world, and how many million builders and contractors are there in the world. It's not how many thousands of them there are. I mean, we're talking all of Australia, all of the thing. There's got to be somebody out there that can do it as good as you. So, but you don't have to have them as good as you. You just have to have the systems to ensure they do it as good as you. And what we do with our clients, we develop the quality assurance systems, right? I've got a client that's doing massive amounts of work at the moment, and he's got guys on his sites, like he just pays them a little bit extra to make sure they follow the process. So at the end of when they're ready to send out an invoice and that sort of stuff, they've got to have filled off the quality assurance checklist, and then this guy goes through and checks that the quality assurance has been done. And what that does, it eliminates comeback work, it eliminates client complaints. So for the extra hour that he pays them to do the quality assurance checklist, it actually it might cost him an extra hour there, but it saves him so much time in all the other things that could go wrong later on. And so now the guys are used to it, and they're like, okay, same as any system. Systems need to be simple, and that's what this system is. It's a simple system that the systems need to be followed by the team. And this guy's got contractors that follow this system, and if they don't follow the system, they don't get paid. It's as simple as that. So he's got the carrot and stick at the end of it.
We have actually a client who, it was a great little way of phrasing it. He said, a small check now saves a big check later.
Yep.
The idea of, getting your guys to follow through, to stick to these systems, as you put checklists together, make sure that they're following the checklist, holding them accountable. And, if they're not getting on board, start to explain it to them that way. The small check now saves a big check later. You're not writing, you might have to cut a very large check for a mistake that you passed up simply because you weren't going through your system.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, and I've said on lots of calls and that sort of stuff, like the gyprocker or drywall guy that came out to my place to do some work, he didn't come out. He was actually a client, which he was only a new client at the time, but it was an expensive lesson for him. He came out to do a wall for me, and I wanted one side done in gyprock and the other side done in timber. It was a divider down the garage, and the idea was to hang stuff off one wall. And I went out to do my normal. I did a workshop that day. Actually, it was a 90-day planning workshop that we do with clients. And I came back that afternoon, and here's these two sides of the wall with gyprock on them. I'm going. He said, I thought you said you wanted timber, but I said, well, where's your checklist to write it down? Where's your system to thing? So he had to pull it all down. Well, not all of it, but pull this one side off, and then go and buy timber and timber it all up and do it that way. And I was lucky he put it on the right side. So, but it was a lesson for him. Now, one of the things too is, you see, that was just a system for when you're in front of a client. Instead of picking up a piece of broken gyprock that's on the site and scribbling on a piece of paper, on the piece of gyprock with a pencil, or just trying to find something to write on. I've seen guys write things on gyprock walls, their to-do list, or not to-do list, but write notes of a client that somebody's rung them and they've written something on the wall, and then all of a sudden the painter's painted over the wall. It's like, okay, whatever was on the walls disappeared. So it's about having a system, a process to be able to do. I mean, that's just a simple communication system between, if you've got a phone call and what you need to do, have a system to be able to write down things. But the systems need to be easy to follow, and that's probably one of the biggest things. I think if you make your systems too difficult, team members won't follow them. And if it's too hard, they don't follow them. They find the easiest way out, and then they take shortcuts, and you end up with problems. So that comes down to, right, what's the best way to develop the systems. And one of the best ways, I believe, is to get your team involved. If you've got a team, get your team involved in building the systems. It's good to sit them down, and post-it notes are brilliant. You grab a book of post-it notes, and you start and flow chart your system out, because I think I mentioned again in the promo video, where do you start? A lot of people don't know where to start with their systems. They might start, for argument's sake, with making a cup of tea. Where would you start if you were making a cup of tea, Keith?
Probably.
You like to do coffee, sorry.
Oh, okay. Well, we could do tea. It's all right. Water. Gotta have the water.
Yep, but don't you need to get the jug first, or the cup, or Okay.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Right. If you really want to break it down, make sure that.
Where do you break it? So where do you actually start? Yeah. So.
Yeah.
So that's where your team. So okay, where do we actually start the system from, and where do we finish that system, and then what's the flows in between, and the if/ors. What happens if we go this way? What happens if we go that way? What's the differences? So having your team to be able to get to the start. I mean, you can start it there, but the best thing about systems is you might build it yourself, and you get somebody to trial it. And the good thing is, I mean, I do this with my family. Is I might do a system. I did a system for some social media stuff that we were doing a couple of months back, and I got my 16-year-old son to come in and run the system, just to see if the system worked. If he understood it and he could run that system, then it's kind of bulletproof.
Right.
So about getting people to test your systems after you build them. But it's important, if you've got a team, the other good thing about getting your team involved with building your systems is it's just enrollment. It's enrollment of your team. If your team's enrolled in building the system, hey, guess what? If they don't follow the system, you've got a reason to be able to pounce on them and say, hey, look, guys, we developed the system. Why aren't you following it? We developed the system together. Why aren't you following it? So I suppose that's probably the idea of the systems also is around if you've got something that you do more than once. So I mean, people say, oh yeah, but I only do this thing once. That's fine. If you only do it once, there's no point doing a system for it. But if you do it more than 2 or 3 times, it's about getting that system built so that it saves you time. So you start off with the things that are creating bottlenecks in your business. Where you got problems with business systems. Let's say it's I'm just trying to think of something off the top of my head. So let's say it's just a simple communication, not returning calls to clients or something, or to prospects, or not getting the quotes out on time, right? Let's say it's not getting the quotes out on time. What is the system that you're going to put in place to be able to get your quotes out on time? Because quotes, in my opinion, is probably quotes and bids are probably the highest priority things that you should be focused on in your business. So, what systems you've got in place to be able to do your quoting. Now, that could be a software quoting system to start with. If you're not happy if you're happy doing your own quoting systems, which not ideally recommended, but if you're happy doing your own quoting systems, then what time are you going to put aside for when you're doing quotes? Now, again, a landscaper client of mine from years ago, he had heaps of quotes out in front of him, and he would never get them done. But understanding that quotes and bids are the lifeline of his business, I then got him to focus on that. And the only way we could really do that is set up a time management system for him to be able to work on the quotes. So although he had his basic system for doing the quotes, the time management system told him when he had to do the quotes. And then he put pressure on by saying, okay, maximum turnaround is 7 to 10 days on a quote. Now, we went through all of his quotes. He had like something like 19 odd quotes there that went over 6 months. And so we went back through and said, okay, right, so which ones are longer than 6 months old? Well, we can write those ones off. Don't just throw them in the bin, but ring them up and find out if they've done something. But if they haven't done at a certain cut-off date, okay, so we've got to start and work on these ones and get them out within that 7 to 10 days from when we started that process. And he just, chunked in a big chunk of time to get them down. And then he set in his default diary a system for when he did quotes. So when he went out on site, when he came, let's say it was Tuesday mornings and Thursday afternoons, a client would ring up and say, okay, I want to get a quote done. And he'd say, yep, I've got times on Tuesday morning or Thursday afternoon, which one suits you best? Double blind closed, and they go, oh, so he's educating his clients on when he could do quotes. Now, if he wasn't out seeing people on Tuesday morning, he'd be in the office working on the quotes that he had there to get them out on time. And then what he would do is also plug in a Saturday morning just in case people couldn't make the morning or afternoon appointments. But it became a system that he followed all the way down the track. And I had the same client, funnily enough. We managed to lock in 3 parts of his default diary. That was the times to do quotes, the time to work on his business, and the time to do some basic admin. Right, but the rest of it was all just chaos. So then we started to work on a to-do system. So we worked on a system around daily to-do lists, and he used to fax back the to-do list to me every day for a month until it became a habit. And then once it became a habit, he followed the system. I could ring him up now, and this is 3 years later. I could ring him up now, and I would bet 90% that he'd still be running that to-do list.
Right.
Because it's a system that's embedded. And that's the other thing is, if you work the system long enough, it becomes a habit, and once it becomes a habit, it's easier to do. So cool. So so that's just my take on systems. And the idea of the systems, if you might spend, let's say it's a system that's going to save you 10 minutes, right?
Right.
You might do that system, and it might take you an hour to build that system. You've only got to use it 6 times before you've got a return on investment. Right, so you've used it, as long as the system is used more than 6 times, you've actually got a benefit out of it. If it's a system that you're not going to use 6 times, well, there's no use spending an hour on something that's going to save you 10 minutes if it's something you're only going to use once in a blue moon. You might do a basic system for that, but if it's something that's you continuously doing and it's going to save you 10 minutes, every 10 minutes is 10 minutes you buy back into your own freedom, I suppose, and that's the idea of systems, to be able to let yourself free. And as I say, if it's one chunk of time for 10 minutes, it frees you up that time so that you can do other things, and that's having that system to work on the business as well.
Right. Well, I know so many of the things that we do in our coaching with our clients. I mean, the hiring process is a system.
Yep.
Everything we do, almost everything we do, can be broken down into some systems. If you want to look at hiring, I mean, how many clients have we had, that we've run into where people don't really have a process in place to find good employees, and they're not clear on what they want, and so they put a general ad out, and they end up with whoever happens to show up. Somebody that can fog a mirror shows up, and hey, we'll take you. So yeah. They end up doing this whole, like you said, fog a mirror. They get to a point where they go, oh, we're desperate, and they come into, I need to hire someone now, and then they go and hire somebody, and they go, well, this guy's a tradesman, he should know what he's doing. And I've got a couple of clients that are going through this process at the moment because they needed to go hire somebody quickly, or they're in an area where they couldn't get tradespeople. And instead of using a process, because instead of having a process to work them through, they've just gone and hired somebody, and now they're going, why are these people so useless? Why aren't they doing things? And it's because they haven't got a system set up to be able to explain to them what they need to be done. They haven't got a system for quality assurance. They haven't got a system for letting them, get them started. They didn't have the system for hiring the right people in the first place. One of the first things I did when I first started hiring people, it was actually back in the early days. I didn't do it with the manager's job, but in the mechanics side of things, I started hiring a few duds initially, and it was like, I've got to be able to work these things out. And it was funny, my father actually been in the same business for 18 years, and it was all to do with
small engine repair stuff. He just turned around and said, mate, get him to come in on a Saturday morning and do an aptitude test. And I remember my first job, I had to go do an aptitude test for him, and it was like run this little thing through the wire to see how shaky your hands were, and that was just for motor skills. But these guys, you know, these were mechanics working on motorcycles and lawnmowers, and you know, when you work on a car, you've got 8 cylinders, and if one cylinder's down, it's you know, it's not okay, but it's, you know, it'll still run. Where on a lawnmower, mate, one cylinder's down, the mower doesn't work, doesn't cut grass. So you know, we had to set up this aptitude test, and I actually went through and I, broke starter springs, get them to assemble that. And it's amazing, you know, when you do that, it might be a little bit of pressure on the people that are applying for the job, but I'll tell you what, the guys that could get through and do it, I had one guy that was, again, you know, 30 years backyard mechanic, didn't know how to wind up a spring on a lawnmower. I'm going, how could you be a 30-year backyard lawnmower mechanic and not know how to use the proper tool to do it? And he didn't. You know, it was one of those things. But so he wasn't hireable. But I had a young guy that came straight out of, he was out of TAFE. He was working over in another country town. Came over, mate. He was brilliant. He went through the aptitude test, mate. As far as, so there's a couple of things we look at in this system, in the hire system, is we look at, you know, aptitude. And we firstly look at personality profile and then their aptitude. You know, and a lot of people don't do that. This is part of an employment system to help you get the right person. It doesn't work every time, but I'll tell you what, it makes it, you know, you're doing a little bit more than everybody else is doing to try and end up with the right people. And like you said, it's a system.
Right, and the cost of not hiring the right people can be pretty expensive too. I mean, that's the, you know, I see it is initially a lot of times with clients we get some resistance with the hiring process because it's different.
Yep.
You know, and they're not used to something different. Different is uncomfortable.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, and some pick it up faster than others, but you know, there's that tendency. You know, a lot of people learn best from experience. So, you know, our clients sometimes, you know, I've had a client who would try out the hiring process, have a great employee, everything's working great, and as the business grows, they need to bring someone else on. And you know, talking about habits and systems, and you know, creating a habit of following that system. Sometimes they'll go right back to the old way of doing things, and then they get the bad employee. You know, lesson learned. But yeah, see that a lot. So.
And the other side of it too is, you know, having the system for the right people. Once you get the people on, getting that system in play. Once you've got that system in play, you know, it's something there that you can automate and give to somebody else later on down the track. You can actually build that system up. The employment system is when you're growing the thing, you give it to your manager. The manager can employ the right people. Now the other thing is too, you know, with systems, you train the people on the systems. People say, you know, what if I train people and they leave? And the answer to that is, what if you don't train them and they stay? So, you know, you've got to be able to make sure you put some sort of effort into training systems and getting stuff going, so that the people know how to do it the way you want it to do it, and have those quality assurance systems in place to be able to help you.
Right. Cool.
Cool. We'll just see if there's any questions on the systems. You got anything else you'd like to add, Keith?
No, I think pretty well covered it. You know, again, just the goals versus the systems, and sometimes I think, you know, you addressed it earlier, but sometimes people get so focused on the goal. You know, even just, I guess, to take it to a personal level with distance running, you know, training for a marathon or half marathon, nobody sits down and goes, I'm going to go out and, you know, today I'm going to practice for a marathon. Usually it's a long, slow process of building up, you know, adding on a little bit here and there until finally, you know, 4 or 5 months down the road, you're able to handle the volume. And whether you have the goal or you have the system makes no difference, but you really have that process in place for your long-term objective, and stick to it. So. Yep.
Cool.
All right.
All right. So looks like we got no questions this morning, so must have nailed it. Cool.
Awesome. Good deal.
So,
well,
yeah. Over to you.
Until next time, we'll wrap it up and catch up then, I guess, next week on our regularly scheduled time on our regularly scheduled station, huh?
Yep. Same time, same channel next week. Or if there's any changes, we'll let you know. But you know, it's all good. If anybody wants to have a quick chat about how they can develop systems in their business, just go to the buildersprofits.com/chat and book into the calendar, and we'll have a chat about about your business or whatever else, about your systems or whatever else you'd like to have a chat about. Cool.
All right.
We'll call that a wrap, and we'll catch up again later on. Thanks, mate.
All right, sounds like a plan. Have a good one.